Hi everyone, I'm LaDawn Sperling with Coldwell Banker Realty, and I am here at my latest listing in Lakewood, Colorado. The address is 1455 South Hoyt Street, and I am here with Dana Gutwein on my team, who does all of the staging. She is the project manager for my listing, so from the time you sign the listing agreement until after the photos and you go on the market, she is the one who handles every little detail. So you don't need to worry about a thing. So we are going to chat with Dana a little bit about this listing and how she got it ready to go on the market. Hi, Dana.
Hi, LaDawn. How are you?
Doing great. You did amazing things with this listing. We have a video of me walking into the basement with my face because it was such an amazing reveal. So tell me a little bit about the different strategic updates you did in this listing and why you decided to do those things.
Awesome. Yeah, so this was such a fun one. I loved getting to work on it from the beginning until the staging. So some of the updates. So our big goal was making sure that when you walked in, you felt like there wasn't anything big that you needed to do, that it felt move-in ready. So that was kind of the target we were hitting. We started with some of the things that are going to make the biggest impact. It's going to be different for every house, but for this house, we wanted to hit paint, floors, and lights are three of the biggest things. The reason is those cover the most space, and so it has the biggest visual impact when you walk in. The paint in here was pretty good, but some of the rooms hadn't been painted in a while
They were very personal.
One of them had wallpaper that was pretty old, and obviously no judgment in any of this. It's just
right.
The goal of the owners was to get this ready for listing, and so that's what we wanted to help them do, is figure out the most impactful updates. So we did paint. So with paint colors, I always love doing a light or some shade of white for getting your home ready for selling. It's different than if you're designing it for yourself, because we want to appeal to the most people that we can. And it just creates a really nice neutral backdrop, but it also makes the space feel really big. So what I actually like to do is start by looking in the home's closet in the garage and see their paint colors that they have in there. Because then we're able to see, we might not have to paint every single room if we use one of the colors that they already have. In this house, they had Swiss coffee that was in the kitchen.
I love that one.
Which is one of the most popular colors.
That's one of my favorites. Yes.
It's beautiful. And it was in the kitchen. So I used that for the rest of the rooms that we painted. That way we didn't have to repaint the kitchen. We didn't have to repaint the dining room. We didn't have to repaint the hall down here. So it's a strategic way to reduce some of the cost and make everything feel cohesive. So, great choice to use the Swiss coffee, and it made it really easy for us. Same thing with the trim. We just matched so they can, pull off a little sample and then get that matched at Home Depot or Lowe's so that we don't have to repaint everything, because we're trying to keep our costs low. Floor. So the floor was kind of interesting because
we found some secret wood floors.
Yes. Which is so exciting. And we knew there was going to be, there was one room that had no carpet. And it already had the wood floor. So we thought maybe there's wood floor over the whole top floor. And unfortunately, not everywhere, but there was wood floor in front of the kitchen, in the kitchen, and the 3 bedrooms. So I love wood floor. I love wood floor so much. I don't care if it's all banged up. It just adds so much character and warmth to the room. So we exposed those. And then in the rest, we wanted to make sure that, again, everything felt move-in ready. Everything felt new. The carpet in some places was original carpet, which is fairly common to see in these Lakewood homes, don't you think?
Yes. Very common.
And so we pulled out that and then just replaced the remaining spaces upstairs and downstairs with the same carpet. And with our carpet, I picked a color that I wanted it to be a little bit darker because it's a little more forgiving on if people come in and they walk through the open house and it's a rainy day. We don't want that to immediately show. And that would tie in well with the wood floors and the colors. So it's neutral. You don't have to be like crazy about over analyzing your carpet color. Just something neutral, something speckled is going to hide things a little bit better. And so I wouldn't go too light is the main thing that was not in there. The other thing in here that we did was the light. And so this room actually didn't have a hanging light, which also I think is pretty common.
Yes, that's very common. My house did not.
Yeah.
When I moved in.
Yeah, ours didn't either.
And it was built in the mid-'80s.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it had a light hung that was pretty low in an area that was a hallway. And so again, that's a thing that even if you don't know where lighting should go, because people don't, that's not something that everyone just knows off the top of your head, but when you're walking through a hallway and you're about to hit your head on a fan, you know that's not quite right.
Yes. And my seller had her table there,
Yeah.
which was in a little bit of a spot where you wouldn't put your table if you're staging a home.
Yes. That's such a great point to name too, is just when you're living in your home, you can put things wherever you want.
Exactly.
When you're staging a home, you want to try to stick to more traditional layouts. It just can show better. And so we moved the light and then added kind of a more modern light that just adds a bit of a like wow factor when you walk in.
Yeah.
So that was one of the other things that we did was update the lighting also in the kitchen, which I think we'll talk about the kitchen in a minute. Other things in terms of staging, I do think it's really fun to try to keep something from the original house. And she had this absolutely gorgeous bookshelf, solid wood, and that's from her home. And so we kept that in here and then styled it. Looks, very different than it did before.
It does.
Yeah.
So we were working with updated kitchen and bathrooms, which is like sometimes you look at a house that hasn't had any updates for a while and we're like, this is going to a flipper. But when I first walked through the house, I'm like, oh, it has updated kitchen and bathrooms. We can do a few strategic things and make this appeal to owner occupants. So you did something to modernize the kitchen that really created a bit of a wow factor, because when I walked in, the kitchen looked a lot brighter. So talk a little bit about how you decided to do that.
Great point. And we were really lucky because this kitchen had been updated and it has these beautiful wood cabinets, beautiful countertop. And then it had a backsplash that was sort of like rock, I'll say, which was, it was honestly nice. But it was really dark. And so we already had a sort of smaller kitchen. It's plenty big to me, but for people always love a big kitchen. And so by switching to a white subway tile backsplash, it did two things. One is it really brightened up the whole kitchen. It reflects light. Again, white just makes things feel bigger, but it also really helped cut the tone of the wood, which was pretty red, helped it blend in with some of the other wood tones that we have. Because we have she did do a red stain on the kitchen floor, but then the rest of the floors are the natural, more yellow. And so it helps it blend all in, because I actually don't mind mixing woods at all. Be too in your face, if that makes sense. So that's also why then I put these stools that are the blonde wood to help cut that red, and some other neutral woods in there so that it just felt cohesive. So the kitchen, the only two things we did, the backsplash, which is not expensive, honestly. We got one of the cheapest tiles there, but they're gorgeous. And then the lights again. So the light.
Right. She had the track lighting, didn't she?
Yeah, they were three, I don't know. And so we added just the can lighting, which feels really modern.
It's such a difference.
And it makes such a difference because now it really brightened it up. So adding light also makes things feel bigger. Yeah, with that, it looks like I absolutely love this kitchen. I think it's really pretty.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So
So at the open house, one of the biggest wow factors was the basement. Like, people would walk down the basement and just be like, wow, I love this. This basement is amazing. But we started with carpet probably from the 70s. And we debated really hard on, do we have the budget to do this carpet Do we not? We ended up spending a little bit more money on the basement than we had originally planned, and I feel like it really paid off. So tell us about the basement.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, a lot of it does come down to the budget of, do we have enough to do the whole house or just the top floor? Because if you do just the top floor, that's great. And then people are like, okay, I have this project that I can work on someday down the road. But it's really great to hear that that was the reaction.
It was.
And it feels really worth it that we ended up doing that. And so there ended up being enough budget. We got bids for both. And then they could make a decision on what they wanted to do. For the downstairs, again, the two biggest impact things are going to be changing your floor and painting your walls. So we also had some of the, you know, there are clearly children that live here. I have children, and there's like blue painted closets that maybe they did themselves and stuff like that. You know, just blank slate, same color. You don't have to get overly creative with this. And then the other thing we debated a lot was, should we paint the wall panels or not?
Yes, because there was paneling in the basement.
Yes. And sometimes...
And I was a little bit of no, we don't need to paint this. And you were definitely pro painting. And the painting really made the space look larger. So I confess, Dana was correct on this one. It was a good idea to paint the paneling.
But sometimes it's not. And so it is worth the debate. And it's worth really thinking about it, because wood, you don't always want to cover the wood.
No.
Especially if it's real wood. This was a veneer, so that's why it's like, we decided to paint it. Anyhow, so we painted and floors, and now it looks like a completely new space.
It does. It looks amazing.
Crazy.
There was also a 1970s refrigerator that we got out of the space. So, yeah.
And then down there,
which made it look more modern.
Yes.
Just on its own.
Yeah. And down there we also, but there's still some things like there's an older light fixture, and it doesn't stand out because we did everything else, and then we added the fun accessories. And in the basement, I like to do brighter colors because you get less natural light than you do up here. Like, these windows are huge and beautiful, and you get all this light, but downstairs you usually don't. That's why I stage it with brighter colors down there, just so that it feels brighter. So yeah, so that was another really fun thing. And I think, well, the only other real main updates that we did were, we did add lighting in the dining room as well, because the light was not where you would typically center it over a table. So we did that.
Right, because my cellar didn't use that as the dining room. So yes.
Which is also,
but I love that you chose to stage that as a dining room.
It's really fun because then, like you mentioned, then you can go out to the patio and have big party or just enjoy your coffee or whatever. But the other thing we did was the front porch. So
yes, you did some landscaping things and painted the front door.
Yep, exactly. And so really minimal cost, but it updated the look.
Oh, and the house numbers.
And the house numbers. The house numbers ended up being a little bit of a challenge, just because for
you had to go to like 4 different stores to find what number?
5. They were out of 5s. I had to go to like 4 depots to get the last 5. But we got it, and it looks so cute.
It was so worth it.
It was. So it's like, I think we spent $200 to do the door, the numbers, a fresh welcome mat, and a little light, because they had a porch light, but it was just a neutral color. Like, I think it was just white, so it didn't pop against the siding. And then we just added a simple black light, and now it just looks more modern and updated. And curb appeal still matters, even though people look at the photos, you know, like and they're not just necessarily driving by, but it just matters.
And I show a lot of homes, and like, while I'm sitting there, like, opening the lockbox, figuring out which key, my buyers are looking all around the front by the front door. So that front impression, that's probably where the buyers spend the most time when they're looking at a home, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Because it's while their agent is getting the key out, and they're standing there as we're locking up, and they're still looking around. So that, you cannot underestimate having the front door look amazing.
That's so, I think, important for people to hear, because it's kind of like you're having a weak handshake. You know, it's like
it's the first impression.
You're supposed to have a good handshake because it sets the tone, and people are just subconsciously noticing like, oh, this is, needs a lot of work, it wasn't well maintained, or the flip side, this looks great. And so the other thing that we did that wasn't very expensive is add new mulch, which
I love mulch.
we love mulch.
Our favorite.
But I do love new mulch. It looks so good. So they added the new mulch. Like, she had beautiful garden beds.
She did.
Gorgeous mature tree. So it didn't take that much to just bump it up to, this is so cute. I love this. And any home can use fresh mulch in the spring. So
Yes.
so those were the things that we did out there, and I think it looks so cute.
It looks amazing. You did such a great job on this one.
It was so fun, and I'm so excited about how it turned out. And I think, like, I get attached to each of the homes and the people that we work with, and I just, I know they had a number in mind, and I just really want to, it's fun to help them hit that number.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage any of you who are thinking about selling, reach out to us, because we can make the whole thing easier for you. So, like, don't think you have to do a whole bunch of stuff before you bring us on board. We like getting involved early and being able to help you with all of that and guide you along the way. So give us a call. The sooner the better. We're always happy to sit down and strategize.
Absolutely.